Welcome, welcome. I don't want to take up too much of your time because today I have a phenomenal guest, one of the most brilliant comedians of all time, Tig Notaro. If you don't know her, you got to stay and get to know her. She's fucking incredible. She's also nominated for an Oscar, okay? And she tells us all about that. It's mind blowing. But we get into her story, which is a really, really good one. I love me some Tig Notaro. And just a little backstory before I bring her on. Uh, I met her actually, okay? When in like 2011, long time ago, I was on this sitcom called Two Broke Girls, which I'm sure you've seen or heard of. I was a guest star on it. And it's wild to me how many people to this day goes, "Oh my God, I just saw you on Two Broke Girls. Oh my God, I just saw you on Two Broke Girls." I'm like, damn, I truly didn't know people watch TV anymore. I mean, I'm sure they're just maybe streaming the episodes or something, but I didn't know people are out there. I get hit up all the time about that. I remember hating it. I played this receptionist. I mean, I didn't hate the experience, but the fucking wardrobe stylist put me in like 7-inch heels. Dude, I'm 6 feet. I was fucking 6'7" around on that set. Bleh. But whatever, they wanted me to look like a fashion model. I more looked like an NBA player. Anyway, so I was on the show and I had met Tig because her then, I think it was her then girlfriend maybe or something was on the show too. And so she was there. So I met her then, right? And we just had this really funny exchange where, and I don't know how this came about, but essentially she just looked at me and she was like, "Fuck you." And again, I don't know why. It was just playful. We were like in the craft service area. And I was like, "Oh, fuck you." And she's like, "Fuck you." And I was like, "You better go fuck yourself right now and get the fuck out of my face." And she's like, "If you don't fucking leave and get the fuck out of my face, I'll fucking kick your ass." And I'm like, "You can go fuck yourself." And she's like, go fuck your face." And I'm like, "I already fucking did, bitch. You go fuck your face. And then you can fuck my face." And then, no, it didn't get sexual. But we just were like telling each other to fuck off for hours. And then I was like in my dressing room and she like popped in there and she's like, "Fuck you," grabs my bag of clothes and chucks it out into the hallway. And I was like, "You little fucking bitch." Like it was just for no reason. We were just verbally abusing each other for hours. But it was all in good fun. I mean, we were cracking up the whole time. It was just this weird bit. But it was hours, okay? And I don't know why it happened. It just did. Cut to, I go to the goddamn Groundlings like a month ago, which I told you about. I go to that theater to film with Jane Fonda, and Jane Fonda was like, "Fuck you." And so, but the silver lining was I saw Tig there. She was one of the comedians there. So I went up to her. I'm like, "Oh my God, well, at least I get to say hi to my good friend Tig." So I walk up to her and I'm like, "Fuck you." And she goes, "What?" And I go, "Fuck off." And she's like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Fuck yourself?" And she's like, Why?" And I'm like, "Don't you remember Two Broke Girls?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Two Broke Girls. We were on, remember you came to set. Do you remember that?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I was a guest star on there. And you came and we were hanging out and we were telling each other to off for like hours." And she was like, "I don't have a good memory." And I was like, "All right, whatever, fuck you." And I just walk off. So it just, it was such a shit show day. Ugh. And then hours goes by, right, as I'm sitting around. And I thought, you know what? This day has been so shit ass. I'm gonna get Tig on my podcast. That's gonna be my one win from this day. This big L of a day is getting Tig on my podcast. So I go up to her at the end of the day and I was like, "Hey." And I could just tell she was like, "Oh man, it's the girl who told me to fuck off. I don't want to talk to her." Like I could tell she did not want to fuck with me. And I was like, "Hey, um, I was just wondering if you wanted to come on my podcast." And she was like, Uh, yeah, I'm, like, doing a world press tour for my movie. I don't really have, time. And at that point, I was so done being rejected. I was so done that I just had to be a douche for a second. And I just was a douche. And I go, look, I have over 25 million followers. I would love to have you on my podcast and help you promote your film because I have a massive, massive audience. And she looked at me and she was like, oh, okay. All right, here, take my booker's email and let's do it. And I was like, thank you. Okay. Okay. Off. Bye. And then we like literally did it the next week. And she's so brilliant and fun and great. And I just adore her. And she's so inspiring, especially I'm like writing my first live show. And it was so cool to listen to her talk about her journey. Just very inspiring for anyone, breast cancer survivor. I believe it's breast cancer. Don't quote me on that. Some sort of cancer survivor. Incredible story. And now made this movie where she's literally nominated for an Oscar. And I'm going to let her tell you more about it. Okay, yay. Let's do this. Yay. Thanks to Factor for sponsoring this episode. Okay, February in LA might not be freezing, but I am busy. Between podcast recordings, brand calls, and trying to remember to feed my actual children, cooking has become this thing that I'm like, yeah, that's not happening today. Cold days, big goals, no time to cook. Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. So you can eat well without planning or cooking. I've been loving their cauliflower mac and cheese because it's comfort food that doesn't make me feel terrible after. And it's perfect for those long February days when I'm bouncing between meetings. What's inside? Quality functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. No refined sugar, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. These are meals that fit your goal and schedule, whether it's healthy eating, calorie management, or more protein. Factor has 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious for the winter. They got options like high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, and ready to eat salads. Plus, the new Muscle Pro collection supports strength and recovery, which I definitely need because apparently adulting is a full contact sport. And the convenience is unreal. It's always fresh, never frozen, ready in about 2 minutes, no prep, no stress. That's it. That's the whole thing. It genuinely made my life so much easier. Last week at like 10 p.m., I realized I hadn't eaten dinner. Normally, I just eat crackers or whatever random snacks I could find, or like my kids' leftovers. Maybe convince myself that coffee counts as a meal. But I had Factor meals in my fridge, so I just grabbed one, heated up for 2 minutes, and actually ate real food. And I felt like a responsible adult for once in my life. I really did. Head to factormeals.com/idiot50off and use code idiot50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going all right.
What
and
do you?
Yeah.
You know,
Good enough?
it's going good.
All right.
It's all right.
That's all right.
It's been better.
Has it been worse?
Yeah.
It's all right.
Where are you?
I am in my office in my house.
Do you like to be in your house?
I do. I really like to be in my house. Are you in your house?
Yeah. Well, my guest house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm in the main house over here.
Okay. Wait, but are you like a homebody? Would you say you're a homebody?
I've become one. Although my schedule does not
Right.
seem like it because I'm gone a lot, which I think made me a homebody. But
The
I
f
also like my family, so I like being with them and, all that stuff.
but you like traveling too?
For pleasure. Yeah.
Not for work, you don't like your job?
I like my job. It's just like, it's a job and it's a lot of traveling.
Like, how often are you gone?
Well, I took like 2.5 years off of stand up touring. And so I was also filming in Toronto. So that's what I did with my time was I was doing 2 seasons of this new Star Trek series. Mainly, I'm promoting a documentary that I produced. It's called Come See Me in the Good Light, and it's up for an Oscar.
Wow.
It's on Apple. It won the Sundance Film Festival, even out of scripted features. And then Apple bought it, and now it's up for Best Documentary for the Oscars, Best Documentary at the Indie Spirit
Is
Awards.
this getting to your head a little?
I think so. I think so. It was, I already had that vibe about me, and it's just made everything make sense now.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
you're a genius.
Yes, exactly.
And you've always known that about yourself.
But now the world knows.
Can you tell me about it?
I would love to.
Okay.
Well, it was independently financed, and it's a movie about an old friend of mine, named Andrea Gibson. Have you by chance heard of Andrea Gibson? No? Okay. A lot of people haven't, but some
Okay.
people have because of this film. And because before this film, Andrea was the poet laureate of the state of Colorado
Okay.
and toured the world, um, published, I think, like 7 poetry books. So in the world of poetry,
Mm.
Andrea was like a rock star and sold out venues everywhere. Everybody knew like every line of Andrea's poetry. And Andrea was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2021. And it came back a couple of times after remission, or I guess remission, having had cancer myself, I know doesn't technically come till 5 years after no evidence of disease. So I guess they weren't technically in remission, but it seemed like they had beat it a couple of times and then it came back. And ultimately, Andrea died over the summer. And the movie is, it, hearing about it could sound like the saddest film you could ever watch.
Yeah.
But Andrea was one of the funniest people that I knew, and somebody that was very open to going deep, talking about anything. Anything was on the table to laugh about. And so their personality and the way that they face the final year of their life it's something to see. And Andrea's spouse, Meg Fally, is also a poet and is the B story. And their
Oh,
two
wow.
storylines woven together, it's exquisite. It's so
Wow.
beautiful. It's so funny, this film. And people leave the theater with a sense of urgency about life. Like, what the hell have I been doing? What choices have I made? How have I ended up here? I want to do better. I want to do things differently. And I want to embrace my life like never before, is truly the vibe when people walk out of the theater. So it was a crazy curveball, that this little independently financed independent film has gone as far as it's gone,
Wow.
about this old friend, just scrappy little poet in Colorado. Yeah, it's wild.
Wow, that's amazing. I actually am going to watch it tonight
Oh, yeah. Well,
because
yeah,
yeah.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, no, I like you sold it to me. That sounds incredible. And I'm excited to watch it. It sounds amazing. How did you meet her?
Well, and side note,
Yeah.
non-binary. Andrea was non-binary, but
Okay.
also in the film reveals that they just felt like
Oh,
themselves.
fuck. I said her.
Yeah, but it's fine. What I was going to say is, and everything's fine. And Andrea is was the first to say, however you call me. What
It's like in your stand up because I watched your special last night. The You're a mom or whatever.
yeah.
It's
Yes,
that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Although I feel like she, her, but anyway,
Yeah.
Andrea was not hard and fast on the on that. But
So
I
how did
met
you meet them?
I met Andrea when there was a time like 25 years ago that I moved back to Colorado where I used to live years ago. I moved back, yeah, 25 years ago, and I was with a friend. We had gone to this performance by this, they were called Vox Feminista, and they were like a group of women um, that it was like social justice, political kind of performance art. And I had gone to see that, and I was backstage, and Andrea was backstage, and was a poet. It was like a mix of comedians, poets, musicians, actors, performance artists, and our mutual friend introduced us, and
Yeah.
you said, "This is Andrea Gibson. Andrea's a poet." And I remember thinking, like, it's so interesting that Andrea is a poet because Andrea looked like the coolest rock star you could ever, just like had that sexy, cool vibe,
Yeah.
and not what I pictured a poet to. I
Yeah.
just wasn't in those circles. And so Andrea goes on stage and just annihilates the place. Like I had not seen anything like that before. Just there's just a simplicity to Andrea's poetry that in the film Andrea says I don't think poetry should be above anyone's head or heart, and that was very much the
Oh.
vibe. You don't have to like have some PhD to follow Andrea's poetry, but man, it's intense. But also Andrea was one of the funniest people I knew, so there were yeah, anyway, that's how I met Andrea. So yeah, yeah, that was.
And then what made you did you just have the idea like this needs to be a film. This story needs to be told.
Well, um no, I was on the phone with our meaning mine and Andrea's mutual friend, Steph Willen, um, who I also met 25 years ago in the same circles
Mm.
with Andrea. And when Andrea was going through all of this, different friends were trying to kind of help out in different ways. And Steph and I were talking about what to do with Andrea's podcast, about editing and producing, just like what it was just a lot of disjointed kind of things. And Steph, um, who actually now moved from Colorado and shovels horse shit on a farm in Santa
Oh.
Fe, who is
Uh-huh.
also incredibly nominated for an Oscar now, which is just hilarious. But um, Steph said on our call, she said, I feel like Andrea's life right now would make a really great documentary. And I was like, oh my God, how did I not think of that? It's the most obvious thing in the world. And that's what we thought as Andrea's old pals. And so
Yeah.
I act pretty quickly And I truly got off the phone and I started calling directors, producers, financiers, and we pulled this movie together um, pretty quickly because people were, even if they weren't aware of Andrea, as soon as they watched Andrea,
Mm.
that's what I would say. I'd say, here's some information. You're either going to be in or out. I can't sell you on this, but I know this is an incredible subject. And 3 days later, after I spoke with Ryan and Jess, the filmmakers that did this with us, because at first they were like, poetry, huh? Okay, well, we'll get back to you. And
Yeah.
and um and yeah, 3 days later, they texted and they were like, "Oh my God, we're absolutely floored. We're buying our tickets and going out to Colorado next week." And then I was just I they did you see the Pamela Anderson documentary?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that was
They did
great.
that. They did that.
Okay, okay,
And
okay.
I had known them for a while before this. And so anyway,
Yeah,
it was quick moving. Plus, we didn't know how much time Andrea had left, and
sure.
it was it was it just got moving.
That sounds intense.
It was, but it was also a very compartmentalized joy in my life because we didn't know if Andrea would live 3 months or 10 years, and the connection that Andrea and Meg, Andrea's wife, had with this crew. It was a tiny, tiny crew, and the connection was so extraordinary, and they became so close,
Mm.
and Andrea and Meg just delighted in their visits when they would come and film, and so everybody kind of walked away saying it was one of the best, if not the best, professional experiences of our lives. It was something, really
Wow.
something. Yeah. I know.
Wow.
I know it's a lot to I know you signed up for talking to a comedian, but
No, no, I wanted to hear about your film.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very proud of it, and
Dude, that it sounds incredible.
it
Yeah.
really is. And it's so nice to get these kinds of accolades and it not be, I'm not the center of this. I'm the producer, so I can just brag and go on about
Yeah.
the film and the people. And um, so I feel very lucky that I can just yeah, I'm like, I'll talk to anybody about Andrea and Meg and this movie called Come See Me in the Good Light is what it's
Come
called.
see me in the good light.
Yes,
And you can stream it on Apple.
Apple TV. And if you don't have Apple TV, you can sign up for a free membership for, I think, for a month and watch. But yeah, it's done really well.
And were you there? Did you spend a lot of time in Colorado for it?
No, I was only on set maybe 2 or 3 times
Yeah.
because I was filming Star Trek in Toronto, and then my wife and kids are in Los Angeles.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so, but I was kind of handling more of the bigger picture things, and
Yeah.
even so now on with the press tour
Mhm.
for this, I'm in a very interesting situation because normally I'm doing press for silly, funny things that I do. And this is, it's wild to, and also I'm the producer that is more of a public figure. So I've been going on talk shows and different interview shows, and they've been fun, but it's just a different twist to the discussions that I'm having.
Right. Although you say the film is hilarious.
There are parts of this film
Okay.
that are very, very funny.
Yeah.
And people have this idea, understandably so, that they're going to be watching somebody just suffer and die, and it's just not that movie. You're watching people navigate this, not with positive or toxic positivity. Um, I mean, look, Andrea did not want to die at all, but it was really one of the few times I've really witnessed bravery. And people throw around the word bravery, but and I was with Andrea in the final days of their life, and even watching that was nothing short of bravery. I'm still astounded. Uh, yeah, to say the very least.
I'm curious about you.
Mhm.
Um, and did you grow up in Colorado?
No, I grew up in Mississippi and Texas, but I moved to Colorado uh, when I left home. I moved there when I was like 18 or 19, something like
Why did
that.
you move there?
My mother went to college in Colorado, and my father lived there as well, separately. And I just always heard about it. And it was a place that was just kind of like, oh, it's the greatest place. It's the most beautiful. It's all these wonderful things. And then when I was a teenager, I went on a trip there and fell in love with it. And I thought, well, when I leave home, that's where I'm going.
What kind of kid were you?
I was, I think I was a funny kid. I was very into nature. I was always in a tree or following a creek back into the woods. I was loved animals, still do. I'm vegan.
You're vegan?
Yeah.
I'm 15 years vegan.
Oh, I'm going on 10.
It's just exciting because you don't meet a lot of vegans. And I
No.
feel like people hate vegans. They like hate me because I like carrots. It's so strange. But do you get
Yeah.
that? Do you get that?
Um, yeah. I I think it's a funny thing that you're taught to eat your vegetables, and then when you do, you're a freak.
You're a freak. And it's like, how do you get your protein?
I know. How do you
Like,
get your riboflavin?
yeah,
Um,
like you don't know my name. Why?
right.
Why? Yeah. Okay. But sorry. So that's cool.
But
So
I was
vegan.
also like
Yeah.
in school, I
Yeah.
was you know, I was a failure, dropout.
I
I
was a
was.
failure.
I was. I failed 3 grades and I dropped out.
Dude.
Yeah.
But you were funny.
I was funny, but I was also kicked out of class a lot, sitting in the hall, that kind of kid.
You were rebellious.
I was.
And what you just you because you're not dumb. But
Well, thank you.
hey, you're not stupid.
Yeah, no, I don't, although I thought I was for a long time, because I failed 8th grade twice.
Why did you fail?
I think I just had a lot going on at home and I just didn't fit in. When I say didn't fit in, I was actually, and I'm not trying to be braggadocious, but I was friends with the popular people, like all the popular girls liked me and I was in those circles, but I I knew something was different about me. And so yeah, it was just a little confusing.
And what was
Um,
different about you?
Well, I'm gay. I am a gay
What?
person. Yes, I'm dabbling. I've been dabbling for decades, and I'm not sold on it, but I'm hanging in there. And I don't know. I think it's a confusing thing because you don't know what it is that is so different. Like, and then also, like I said, having a lot going on at home, I just I just wanted to get out and start my life. I didn't want to be at school and I was Yeah, I failed 8th grade twice and they moved me up to 9th grade. I failed that and then I dropped out.
What was going on at home? And you can say, I don't want to tell you.
I mean,
In
kind of.
one sentence, what was going on at
In one sentence, I would say there's more sentences than one, but a lot of partying, a lot
Oh,
of disappearing acts, a lot of divorce, and
okay. Okay.
you know, just moving and
Sure.
into everything, every possible thing.
Okay. So rebellious, ditching class, not paying attention, failing,
Dropping out.
failure, dropout,
Yeah, yeah.
gay.
Gay. Smoking cigarettes.
That's it? Just cigarettes?
Yeah, I wasn't
You weren't into
no, I wasn't into drugs or alcohol. Nothing like that. Still not.
just never. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
a letdown, but
I
I'm just
wanted the heroin recovery story. No.
I just don't I just like
Why don't you do
I
drugs?
know. I like the feeling of sobriety better, but I never got sober. I just was never into anything. I've certainly had drinks and I've had
Sure.
too much to drink before, but it's enough to me to go, I don't need that. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't like that. I like connecting with people.
Yeah, no, I identify with you a lot. I failed out of I
Oh,
like yeah, barely graduated school, terrible student, straight D's. I took geometry 3 times, lots going on at home.
yeah.
I did the little gay.
You're a little gay?
Yeah, I would say like 30%.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it's a spectrum. I'll never. I'm divorced. I'll never. And I've been with women. I've never
Uh-huh.
had like a serious female partner before. But
Mm-hmm.
I did go to a psychic last week, and I don't really believe in them. I go because it's funny, and you should go if you don't, because
Oh, I've been.
it's funny.
Yeah, I've been.
It's funny because like they're not. Some of them probably are real, but most of them are like just grifters, and it's funny the stuff they say. And this woman, she literally looked at me. She goes, out of the blue. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
say anything. She just
Yeah.
goes, "You're not gay." She goes, "You think you're gay? You're not gay. I know
That's
you think you're
hilarious.
gay. You're not gay."
You sound like the therapist I found to talk to when I first kissed a girl and found this woman in the yellow pages, went over to her, and she was like, "You're not gay." And I was like, "Oh, I know for sure I am now."
Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this episode. Can we talk about how meal planning has become my nemesis? I'll think about it, I'll make lists, I'll even buy groceries, and then I just stare at everything and go, nope, not today. Cold days, big goals, no time to cook. Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. So, eat well without the planning or cooking. Dude, the Mediterranean chickpea bowl has been my go-to lately because it's filling, delicious, and it fits perfectly into my crazy February schedule. Factor uses quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, and whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, yay. No artificial sweeteners, slay. No refined seed oils. These meals actually work for your goals and schedule. Healthier eating, calorie management, more protein, whatever you need. They've got 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious through winter. Options include high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, and ready to eat salads. Plus, the new Muscle Pro collection supports strength and recovery. There's literally something for everything. But here's the best part. Always fresh, never frozen. Ready in about 2 minutes. No prep, no stress. You just heat it and eat it. Done. Dude, my kids were having a complete meltdown the other day, like full chaos mode, and I was supposed to make lunch for everyone. In the past, I would have just ordered delivery and then felt guilty about spending money and feeding my kids something questionable. But instead, I grabbed a couple of Factor meals from the fridge, heated them up in literally 2 minutes, and we all actually ate nutritious food. The kids stopped melting down. I felt like a competent parent, and nobody had to eat French fries for the 5th time that week. Head to factormeals.com/idiot50off and use code idiot50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active.
Just her saying that telling me I was not gay.
Right.
And I had never met her before until
Very
that
strange.
moment. I just needed someone to
Really?
talk to. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
kissed a girl. I think I might be gay." She's like, "No, no, no, you're not gay. You're not gay." I found a homophobe in the yellow pages.
That's so funny.
I know.
The audacity, but okay. But anyway, so I relate to you a lot.
Mhm.
Okay, so then
Do you drink? Do you do drugs?
I did. I'm
Uh-huh.
actually I'm 14 years sober. So like
Oh, okay.
yeah, I got
Mm.
sober really young
Mhm.
just because yeah, I kind of like I was rebellious and wanted to numb. I did that whole thing.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I quickly realized I couldn't do it safely because when you're
Mhm.
young, people will use drugs recreationally or drink socially and I just
Yeah.
like couldn't control it.
Oh.
And yeah, and I have a lot of addiction in my family, so I just got sober really young because I knew it would probably kill me.
Well, that's impressive though.
Thank you. Stop.
But really, I'm always when people beat their addictions, whether it's alcohol, drugs, food, even cigarettes, it's like
Yeah.
I had to quit. I quit that, and I it's hard stuff to when you
Yeah.
are addicted is addicted.
Totally. Would you say you have an addictive personality?
I don't feel like I do,
Yeah.
but I'm sure somebody could analyze me and say,
Yeah.
yes, you are.
Sure.
But I mean, I'm kind of addicted to health now. Um, and
And why is that?
well, I got deathly ill in 2012. I had my
Legit.
own legit,
Yeah.
like, I had 3 deadly illnesses at one time. I had invasive cancer. I had this disease called C. diff, which it's a bacteria that eats your digestive system. And I had pneumonia, and I couldn't even walk across my living room. And that's not an exaggeration. I could not walk across the room. And that's what led me to I quit smoking when I was 25 because in the moment I thought, God, I was dating a woman that was very into, drinking, smoking heavily, pot, maybe other things. I don't know. I was very naive at 25, but, and she might not have been into other things. I just don't know. I don't know.
Sure.
But I remember thinking I wanted her to curb what she was doing, and then I realized, wait, I'm an addict. I'm smoking. I What am I going to do about my stuff? So I thought when I'm 25, I need to quit because I don't want to be 50 saying I wish I had quit when I was 25.
Mm.
And, so luckily I kicked that, and that was not easy.
How did you do that?
Not in a typical way. I went to a liquor store and I bought a pack of do you know what Swisher Sweet cigars are? They're these long, dark cigars with the plastic tip that you
Okay.
okay? They're so disgusting. And then I also bought a 6-pack of peach-flavored beer, and I drank the beer and inhaled the cigars like, I as somebody that didn't drink, I tried to make myself sick, and I did. I made myself so sick that
Okay.
I never wanted anything disgusting like that in my body again. And, and I also didn't socialize for about a month. I didn't wanna be around cigarettes, and so I
Yeah.
just stayed sick to my stomach and home. And then after I got really ill, I was on tour. This is after I met my wife, Um, and I called her and just said, because I had a lot of residual pain and complications, and I was I made it through, I lived through it, but I was
Mhm.
still struggling with a lot of stuff. And I kept being told that I should try veganism. And so when I was on tour, I called my wife and I said, I being on the road, I've watched a bunch of documentaries, I've been reading about this, and I think I'm just gonna try while I'm out of my typical life to just be vegan for the rest of my 2 weeks on the road and see how I feel, and she was like, I've always wanted to be vegan. I'll do it with you." And she had been a vegetarian since she was a child, so
Okay.
that wasn't a huge leap for her, and
Yeah.
so we became vegan, and then our kids are vegan, our whole family's vegan.
How do you do the schooling? Because I find at home everything's plant-based, but at school, it's for me, I find it near impossible because they just
Well
always get something at the cafeteria and you're just like, "Ah, whatever." I'm kinda like, "Yeah, whatever."
well, that's what we do,
Yeah.
is we say that our home, there's no animal products, there's
Yeah.
no meat or dairy,
Yeah.
um, and then we tell them, when you leave our house, you can make your own decisions. And so when you're at school, when you're at birthday parties or a friend's house, you can choose to eat what you'd like. But they're both very proudly vegan. And that might change. And it's also a really good exercise of letting go, to be like, okay, they're going to be their own people.
Yeah.
Even though Stephanie and I are very, very locked into this, and
You're locked in vegan?
we are locked in vegan, and, but we know that they might shift, you know? How old are your kids?
Totally. So my kids are 4 and 6.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and my 4-year-old, she'll come home and she'll be like, Mom, I had a snack at school and I think there were eggs and, milk in it, and my stomach kinda hurts."
Yeah.
Like, she'll
Yeah.
tell me, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah."
Uh-huh.
Sometimes that happened to me when I would have dairy, my stomach would hurt.
Yeah.
And so she's aware, but again, it's kind of a similar philosophy because you can't control, and they are their own people.
For sure.
Yeah. And then now, my son is on the spectrum. So
Mhm.
he really truly will not tell me what he is eating because he
Yeah.
cannot. But,
Yeah.
but he tends to want vegan food, like, certainly in the house. Like, he just
Yeah.
lives on, like, almond butter toast and
Yeah, yeah.
very picky eater, but I cannot see him. He'll have goldfish or whatever at school.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not vegan, but what are you gonna do? Yeah,
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let them do it,
let him
and
do
then
it.
when they come home, they're not gonna have that here.
Right,
But
totally.
but I think when you and I really kind of took this on from Stephanie's way, I think she's just an incredible mother, and
Yeah.
and she's 15 years younger than me, and I'm astounded by how, smart she is about her decision making. I'm like, "God, yeah, that is the right way to go, because if you try and control them, it's gonna backfire."
Oh,
It's
yeah, and they'll
Yeah.
rebel,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
every
They'll become a
kid.
Tig.
Totally.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No,
No,
absolutely no way.
no.
Um, every adult I know who had parents who were really strict around food and had, like, diets and, even cutting off. I'm weird, like, if a kid is hungry, he's hungry or she's hungry or they're
Mhm.
hungry. So if my kids are hungry, they eat. Some parents, it's very much like, nope, we're done, kitchen's closed. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
Mhm.
feel like, or anything very strict, they always kind of grow up with food issues, is what
Yeah.
I've seen.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
I mean, we do have to eventually close the
oh.
kitchen because our sons are 9.5, and they're it honestly, I think everybody tells us, as not just kids, but of
Yeah.
course also boys, as they grow, they will eat the entire kitchen.
Oh, really?
And oh
Okay,
my
maybe I
gosh.
haven't had to deal with that yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, and we've
Okay.
we've just really started to have to deal with it at this age where we're like, Another one?" Or like oh my god, like, "Whoa, okay." And
Yeah.
then but yeah, we have to at a certain point be like, "It's bedtime."
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I hear you. I think it's a good way to navigate everything. I mean, I've found it in my marriage as well that like, not holding on too tight. I mean, but look, hands off, I don't want anyone snagging her, but I want her to live her own life. I want her to be happy and free and want to be with me.
And how did you 2 meet?
We met on a very tiny independent film that Lake Bell wrote, starred in, and directed called, um, I was gonna say Come See Me in the Good Light, but that's me just trying to plug the documentary again. It was called In a World, and we had very minor roles, but I was sick in the filming, and I didn't know what was wrong with me yet. And so I had to, like, miss a bunch of shoot dates, and they gave some of my lines to, like, Nick Offerman and other people, and that's when I collapsed one day, right after I wrapped the film, but that's where we met, and then we reconnected just, like, 6 months later when the movie was going to Sundance. We ran into each other right I was before we went to Sundance and when I was coming through that hell. Because also when I was sick, my mother also tripped and hit her head and died, and I, went through a breakup during that time. So that was in a
Ugh.
4-month chunk. Um, it was not fun. But on the other side of things was Stephanie, and I can't believe that's who my wife ended up being, was my co-star on that movie.
Wow. So when
Yeah.
you worked with her, you weren't like, "I'm gonna marry that woman." It w
No,
no.
because I was in a relationship,
Oh, right. Sorry, the
and
breakup.
yeah, I was in a
The end
relationship,
breakup.
and then she hadn't dated women before.
She
Uh,
hadn't?
no, but she also hadn't really had boyfriends much either. Um,
Okay.
she she said that guys would ask her out, she'd go, and then they'd be like, "When can I see you again?" And she'd be like, "Why do I need to see you again?"
Ugh, I'm there. I'm right there. I'm right there. I'm right
So,
there.
yeah. So, no, I just really enjoyed her. We had so much fun on set, but they did have a little palette on the floor for me because I wasn't feeling well, and I
Ugh,
didn't know yet that I had these 3 diseases. So I'd
fuck.
do a scene, and then I'd go lie down. Um, and,
Oof.
but when we did interact, she's so funny. She's so deeply funny. And, but no, I remember after the movie was edited, Lake called me and like 3 other people, and she asked if we would come to a screening that was just for the 4 of us, like Lake and 3 of the actors in it. And she wanted us to tell her what we thought. And so we were watching the movie. And I remember I'm single now at that point, and I'd come through hell. And I'm watching the movie, and I just saw Stephanie in a whole different light. And I was like, oh my God, she's so funny. And like when you're in a project with somebody, you don't see them in all their scenes, and so
Yeah.
I'm just watching her going, I could not believe how funny she was, even though I knew she was funny. Um, and then I think it just planted this seed in my head, and then yeah,
Isn't it
that's
funny how important it is for your partner to be funny? But it's not that way for everyone. Like, I feel similarly, it's like they're so funny. I
yeah,
love them. But like, that's not necessarily important to some
no,
people. Isn't that wild?
yeah, and I guess the special that you just watched. Did you say
Yeah.
you just watched that? Okay.
Yes.
Um,
Last night.
Yeah, I think it's the one where I talk about how Stephanie has a joke about people talking to one another.
Yes. People
Yes,
who talk to each other.
people who talk to each other.
Yes.
And we're just fascinated that
Yeah.
some people
Yeah.
just live their life saying, "Are you hungry? Would you like dinner?" "Sure, thank you." "Well,
What the
I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed." "And how was your day?" And and when I would do that on stage, I could see looks in people's eyes like, "Oh, I think that's me in Nice Mouse."
No, yeah.
Um, but I also think I can get by if somebody has a really good sense of humor and they get it and they're a good laugh hang, you know?
Yes.
That I
Yes.
think is just as good, but when they are funny or funnier than you, it's
Mm.
just like, that's the hottest thing in the
It's the
world.
hottest thing in the world.
Yeah,
You know what's
yeah.
the least hottest thing in the world?
Hmm.
When, and this sounds kind of judgy and cunty, but I'm going to say it anyway. When they think when they think they're funny or the
Yeah.
funniest and they're just not. And you could argue that humor is subjective, comedy is subjective, art is subjective. Just because I don't think you're funny, there's probably someone out there that thinks you're the funniest person on the planet. I don't know if you subscribe to that or not.
No, it is it also really comes up as a comedian. People feel like they have to make me laugh and they're not necessarily funny. And so it's a lot of
Ugh,
like, oh gosh, please. I really can have just a conversation and you don't have to um
okay.
I've had that with assistants before
Mm,
where they're trying to make me and not all of them, but like years ago, I had a couple where I'm like, "Oh no, I don't need this from you. I just need you to organize my
yeah,
calendar and
right. In my closet. But
yeah.
like, yeah, I understand. Okay, so it could be that. It could be like they know you're in comedy, comedians,
Mhm.
so they feel that pressure.
Yeah.
Because I had that. I went on a few dates with someone who
Mhm.
it was just so uncomfortable. The whole time I was just it was a lot of like
Yeah. That's
a lot of that.
that's not a fun way to
It's
laugh.
terrible. And it was wild because like on paper he checked all the boxes, like
Mhm.
all of them.
What were
Eh,
the boxes?
well, okay, attractive,
Okay.
good job,
Mhm.
great relationship with family,
Mhm.
good heart, kind,
Mhm.
you know, spoke highly of others. I find like, yeah, he was just like a loving person, you
Mhm.
know, a
Yeah.
kind person. So I value those things too.
Sure.
And then on top of that, you're tall, you're muscular, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So on paper, check, 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 check. But he kept quoting Borat. And this was like 2 years ago.
That's like it
No.
might as well be like quoting Bart Simpson type thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, but then I was thinking to myself, there's got to be someone out there that just thinks, oh man, he is hilarious.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
nah, or nah. Is funny, are you born funny? Like, do you have that funny bone?
Are you asking me personally or humans?
Well, okay, sorry. This thought was kind of jumbled. So, like, okay, is comedy subjective? Like, could someone else hypothetically think that person is the funniest person, even though you think no?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, haven't you read comments online?
Yes.
I mean, uh, I know for
Yes.
myself, like, uh, I mean, I've been doing stand up for almost 30 years, and people that aren't into me really are so confused why I am considered a comedian.
Whoa.
And I'm fine with that. That doesn't like just move it along. I'm
Yeah.
totally fine with it. It's like when people, I have my own podcast and I mean with my co-hosts and when people write in, they're like, stop talking about this or blah blah blah, this and that. And I'm just like, podcasting is like eavesdropping on a conversation at a restaurant on another table. If
Yeah.
you are not interested, listen to the other table. Like, we're not going to take your notes here. This is what we're talking about. And it's the same with stand up. It's like I have to be amused by what I'm talking about. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And if this doesn't amuse you, I can't shift into political commentary. I
Sure.
can't become a really vulgar comedian. It's just, this is what I have, and if you like it, great. Move it along.
Yeah, like not there are some people out there that were probably really disappointed that you brought out a piano and claimed to
Mhm.
be able to sing and play piano and you
Yeah.
couldn't, and that was the
Mhm.
bit, and you lingered on that bit. I like how long you linger.
Yeah, I linger.
And yeah, you really commit.
Mhm.
And but I thought that was one of the funniest, most brilliant bits ever.
It's
And
true.
it's incredible. And like, but I could also see that that's not niche, but that there's a certain audience that would not
Oh,
appreciate it or get it.
not just that. Hate me. Hate me. Like,
Yeah.
hate me.
Yeah.
I did this bit
Yeah.
on my Netflix special called Happy to Be Here. And in that special, I mean, I do a lot of this kind of thing where like in that special, I tease. Do you know who the Indigo Girls are?
The punk band, right?
I
Am I
mean,
lying
they're a
right
lesbian
now?
folk duo, but
Oh shit.
that in itself is pretty
No.
punk.
Okay,
But
yeah.
so I teased that they're going to come out and perform at
Okay.
my show.
Okay.
And when I toured, I would do that bit and I would tell people the Indigo Girls are here and they're going to come out and they're going to perform. People would cheer and I'd be like, the Indigo Girls aren't here. Why would I bring the Indigo? And I'd be like, yeah, they are actually. I'm sorry, they are. Come on out. And I do that for like 20 minutes. And then, you know, once I taped my special, I used to end my show with, um, who wants to see the Indigo Girls? And then people are like, yeah. And then I'm like, then buy a ticket to the Indigo Girls. And then that's the end of
Right.
my show. On my Netflix special, they actually come out on stage and I play drums with them while they're playing and singing. And some people, and I understand, I'm not
Uh-huh.
for everyone, they are infuriated by that bit. Other people are choking to death laughing. Other people, one woman in Florida yelled at me and she said, I thought you were a nicer person than this. And she wasn't being funny. She was
Oh.
truly upset with me.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know.
Wild. It's
But it
so wild.
amuses me. It amuses me. And that's the only thing I can do is share what amuses me.
What amuses you? And then, so then you left, you went to Colorado. And then did
Sure.
you know, were you one of those that always knew I'm going to be a comedian? This is what I'm going to do. I suck at everything else. This is my thing.
No.
Okay.
I wanted to be a comedian. It was a
At
dream.
what age did
Like
you
when I
want?
was little, I
Yeah.
loved watching the comedians that come out on the Tonight Show and Letterman and all that. And I'd watch Whoopi and Paula Poundstone, all the different HBO specials, have Steve Martin records, but I didn't understand. I'm very into music, and that I can track and I could track as a kid because it was like, okay, you want to be a rock star? You buy your guitar, your drums, you learn how to play, you put a band together, you get in your garage, you practice, you put your demo tape together and send it to a record label. Like, I could track all that.
Sure.
Stand-ups, when I would watch Paula or Whoopi or, Stephen Wright, whoever, Richard Pryor, I was like, how are they introduced and walk into a theater and it's just a sold out theater and everybody's there to see this comedian? Like, how do you fill the theater? How does anyone know who you are? When you see somebody's first special, I didn't know that they fill the seats with, um, those companies that you pay to have seat fillers.
I didn't even
Um,
know that.
yeah, well, sometimes when it's your first stand-up special, that's what I did on Comedy Central. You have a half-hour special, nobody's heard of you, but they are behind you, the Comedy Central, and then they have a company that fills up the theaters, and then they just tape special after special after special after special in the same theater. So
Okay.
you don't need a fan base, and then they put that on TV. And then
Whoa.
I didn't know. And I just didn't know how to bridge that gap of I want to do stand up, but how do I walk onto that stage? How did they get there?
But wait, question, because I
Yeah.
actually didn't know that.
Okay.
So okay, your first comedy special, half an hour, they had a company fill the seats. What if
Mhm.
that company are the ones that hate your piano joke? They're hired to laugh too.
Well, I mean, I'm decades past my first special,
I
but
know
yeah,
that. I know
but,
that.
but I'm just saying you're taking you that you it's like doing a late night show. Those aren't
Yeah.
your fans. It's just the people that are in the theater, and you're either gonna get them or
But like
not.
when I was on a sitcom, they would hold a sign. They would hold a sign
Mhm.
saying "laugh." I
They
just was
didn't.
curious. Okay,
Yeah, they don't do that.
I'm
They
not.
just fill the theater, and
All
then
right.
the shows start from like noon and go till like 10 o'clock at night, and it's just like comedian after comedian after comedian. And in fact, when I did my first special on Comedy Central, there's so many comedians taping, and they have a warm-up comedian that goes on between the acts,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
And everyone's unknown for the most part.
Yeah.
And so I'm standing backstage before my entrance for my stand-up special, and the warm-up comedian says, "All right, this next comedian, he's one of my best friends. We have toured the world together. You know him, you love him. Please welcome Tig Notaro." And I was standing backstage like, oh no, they might not know I'm female for the whole show. Like I was like, oh no, this is so hilarious. And then so I told the producer who was standing
Yeah.
next to me, I was like, I feel I don't know. And she radios the director who's in the sound booth. And she's like, it tells him he comes on the speaker over the whole theater and he goes, Tig's a girl.
That's worse. Why? But why did he say that? Why did he say he?
I think my name is so gender neutral.
Ah.
Yeah. And so he just assumed that must be a guy.
Oh
And
no.
so I walk out. I think my first line that makes no sense in my special is,
Oh.
um, well, here I am, or something like that. I was just kind of this feeling of like, well, it's me.
I'm a girl.
Yeah, and I was
Right.
responding to what had just happened, but
Uh,
nobody knew. What-
right.
Yeah, but
And they didn't keep that in the special though.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no. He goes away, and then they're filming when I walk on stage after the introduction,
So they
and then
kept that in the special. Okay.
but the warm-up guy said,
Yeah.
"Oops, sorry, I didn't know." He said, "Okay, so let's do this again." This next comedian, and then he didn't call me. And it's like, oh my gosh, he just said I was one of his best friends. It was just such a mess, but it's such a
Yeah.
funny. I feel so thankful to have that story
To
in my
have that
life.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, okay, so you always knew and you were wanted to be a comedian, but music felt like, okay, I know how to get there. I didn't know how to
Mhm.
get there with comedy. So,
Yeah.
when did you want to then be a musician? Were you then trying to do that first? Or you're just
Kind
saying,
of, a
okay.
little bit, but I realized once I tried to play guitar or anything in front of anyone, I was too nervous, so that didn't really go anywhere. Um, but I worked in music business and played guitar with friends on the side and just thought, well, I guess I'll just do the music business route. And I worked with bands and when I lived in Colorado, and
Okay.
then when I went through a breakup in Colorado, and my close friends were moving to LA. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just go with you because my girlfriend and I broke up. So I threw my stuff in their truck and moved to LA and thought I'd see how it went. I had no intention of like doing stand up,
You had
but
no intention.
no, no. I just moved to be with my friends. And when I got to LA, I saw in all the LA Weekly and all the different publications that there were a million open mics. And so I tried it the second week I was in LA because you could do stand up in laundromats, coffee shops, bars, anywhere. There were just open mics all around town. And so to go back to addiction, I was pretty addicted in the first, you know, 25 years. Nothing could, nothing could stop me. But
So you were
uh,
addicted. You
I
are
was
an
addicted.
addict.
I'm addicted. I was addicted. I don't feel addicted to comedy, to stand up anymore. But I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy having time off, and I enjoyed my 2.5 years off the road. And um,
But the
but
first open mic you did was that, how was that experience?
it went really well, and which is funny to say because I'm sure if I saw the footage, I'd be like, oh my God. But it went well enough that the second time I did stand up, I signed up for a competition to
Okay.
win $100, and
Oh,
I bombed. It was in Orange County. My friend Derek drove me out there, and he was in the audience, and I bombed so deeply, like utter silence. And I was
mm.
about 3 minutes in, and I just said, "Oh, never mind," and I ran off stage. And Derek choked to death laughing the whole drive back to Hollywood. He was just like, "Oh my God." And I was too. I was laughing, just like, get me out of here. I don't ever want to do this again. But I think it's like a unhealthy relationship where comedy, where you're like, I got the laugh, but then I didn't, but I can get it back again, you know?
And you were like, I'm never doing that again. But then,
And almost 30 years later.
but did you stop for a while? Did that deter you or
No,
no? It
no,
just like for
no.
the night, it was
Yeah, for the
humiliating.
night.
And then you were able
Yeah.
to.
And then the next night I was like, I'm gonna go find an open mic and see if I can
I
find that
think that's
magic
inspiring
again.
for people to hear that you bombed ever.
Oh, so many times. So many times.
But you just had
So,
this unwavering faith in your own ability.
yeah, I think you have to as a
Uh,
comedian.
yeah.
And I've seen plenty that hit their peak long after you would imagine they ever would. Like you would see them at open mics and think, oh my God, they don't have a chance in hell. And then 7 years later, you see them around, you're like, oh my God, you found yourself. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
other people don't, but and then you're like me, and people are like, "How is she still working?" You
I
know.
think about that all the time. How do you ever get work? But I want to know, do you have social media?
I have an Instagram.
Why did I swear to God I put your name in and I don't know
No,
why.
I'm not
Yo.
verified. It's just
Okay.
my cat. It's my cat. It says the real Fluff Notaro, and
It's your cat?
yeah, and
So do
then
you make videos or do you is it public?
it's public. Yeah,
It's
it
just your fucking
originally.
cat because I put your name and I was like, okay, I guess she doesn't. She's one of those, which is fine.
Well, I'm
Which
not.
is fine.
Sometimes I'm not terribly active on there. I have a Facebook account,
Okay.
and then I have a Twitter account, but I've never used it. Some Funny or Die started it years ago, and it
Okay.
was an account where people would hand it off to each other and tweet for me.
I see.
Um, but I don't even have the password to my Twitter account.
Okay. Okay.
But
And TikTok, you big on TikTok?
oh my God, no,
You don't want
no,
to do a TikTok trend with me?
no. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, because
yeah.
I was like, I dabbled in stand up, and it's hard, obviously. And like I did well, and then I would bomb. And then I discovered social media and I started making videos every day online. And so then I just did that. So like that, I do more sketch comedy and things like that. And anyway, it's just looks different for everyone, but I would love to make sketches with you if you're ever bored. It's fun. It's really very fun.
I think I think my podcast has a TikTok.
Yes, I'm sure. And I'm sure they have clips of your podcast on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then, so I think I asked you everything. I could ask you more, but I know you have to go because you have a life, you have kids.
I have a fitting that's starting right now.
Go put your clothes on. That's fine. So where can they see? They can see the film on Apple
TV.
Yeah.
And then my podcast is called Handsome. And that's with Fortune Feimster and Mae Martin.
Awesome.
And then I'm on the new Starfleet Academy with Holly Hunter and Paul Giamatti. That's on Paramount Plus. And then my tour is go out a long weekend a month is all I'm doing these days. So
a long weekend a month?
Yeah, I'll do like 4 or 5 nights in a row and that's it for the month. Whereas I used to go for maybe a couple of weeks or something, or I'd go away to Europe for a month or something, but I'm not doing that.
So you're just out here, Oscar nominated, incredible wife, beautiful boys, great friends, good healthy, plant-based.
Yeah.
That's an abundant life.
I am deeply thankful for my life. And I mean that very genuinely. Very genuinely. I'm thankful that I'm healthy. I can't believe the family I have. And I just, I feel really good. And I so appreciate you inviting me on your show. And maybe we can do a TikTok sometime.
That sounds really great. I'm still embarrassed about you not remembering the time that we met. Come on.
I have a terrible memory. I'm almost 55.
Okay. All right.
I'm like, I struggle.
We told each other to fuck off for like 3 hours straight. You took like my purse and my suitcase in my dressing room. This was on the set of Two Broke Girls. And you took it and you threw it. You threw all my clothes out into the hallway and you were like, go fuck yourself.
That can't be real.
Yes, it's true. And that's why it's so funny to me that you have no recollection, because you verbally abused me for 3 hours straight. But I was also we were abusing each other.
Oh, okay.
It was a very toxic relationship for like 3 hours.
Okay. Well,
yeah, and that's okay. And maybe one day it'll come back, but I hold that memory dear.
I do now as well. I do now as well.
Yeah, and then I went up to you at the Groundlings and I was like, fuck off. And you were like, what? You were like, what? And I was like, fuck you. And you go,
listen,
huh?
I'm also a good person where if you really do offend me, I'm not going to remember. Like, it's all fine. I've had people apologize to me for things where I'm like, oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
So, everything's bygones are bygones with me.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I will see you at the top.
I'll see you at the top.
Okay.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.